Right. Welcome back for another Cardano Builders SWOT and PEST analysis session. It's just going to be me, Lucas, and Matthias today. So we've been going over our projects in the Cardano Builders community, and actually, I think I'm going to risk sharing my full HD screen today. And so this is the board that we've been working on for, I think this one is the fourth session, right, Matthias?
Good question. Yeah, third or fourth. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Might be the fourth one. Yeah.
So, yeah, as you probably know, Cardano Builders has a lot of projects going on that we have been collaborating on, and we have the ADA Inc. area facilitation. Is it today that we want to jump into another project, or do we want to continue maturing these four documents?
I think we can mature those documents. That is fine. Maybe focus on ADA Inc. Would be good.
Okay. So let's jump in. Personally, unfortunately, I haven't come to this board apart from our sessions, to be very honest, because I keep jumping from things between things. But this is really important to as a base layer. So it's good that we just mature the project on this level. Maybe we could start by putting in some time on this side, since maybe it's a little less developed, and then focus to bring this one to matured. So what I'm trying to say is finish a first pass on this side.
Yeah, absolutely.
On previous sessions, we've seen what things are, so I'm not going to be opening it right now. This is mostly all external, so I'm just going to dig in for a sec. Okay, so I'm also just remembering about the project, and overall, we're just basically trying to mint images as NFTs. And I'm thinking here on the social side, for example, this week I had interaction with a person who was getting a tattoo himself. He went to his tattoo guy, and the guy's not interested about it. So in the end, what this raised to me was the use case where rather than just trying to get tattoo shops, maybe we just focus as well, or we're going to have a strong portion of use cases where it's the person that wants the NFT, not the tattoo shop. And so we may be ending up supporting the actual person in telling the person, you need to get your tattoo guy to share a stencil with you that you can scan or take a high res, very still photo of, so that then we can preserve it.
Yeah, I have a couple of reactions to that, if that's fine. So one is, so it sounds to me like you would have to create a huge demand on the buyer side, right? And the people getting their tattoos.
For the shop to be interested?
Yes, because as I wrote sometime this week in the chat, right, you need to answer the question, well, why should I care, right? Either as a tattoo artist or as a tattoo shop, which often are the same, but well, actually more often not, because there are more tattoo shops with multiple tattoo artists. So yeah, I think that is still something that needs to be answered concisely.
Okay,
it needs to make sense. And economic incentive, that is certainly one aspect, right? I'm not sure that is your initial argument, unless you're really good at painting the vision, right? And tattoo artists understand that, you know, this will truly come sooner than they expect, right?
In terms of convincing the artist.
Yes, that NFTs are here to stay and people want that, and it's not just a fad. Because the numbers also, if you look at trading volume, for example, it has been that the volume has been significantly reduced, like over 90% or something like that, over like previous highs in last year, I think.
I think one thing that obviously we started these sessions because of the SWOT and PEST, but I'm feeling like zooming out and creating a section here to work on product use cases. Maybe we can start that just right now, or we should maybe mature it a bit as well. But one thing that I'm starting to miss so far is that I haven't enumerated the use cases and those types of participants pro and against the or not giving a damn, like you were trying to say, right? But so in terms of the why should I care, the main thing here is, in practical terms, if the person already does care, the end user, we may have to do this part. So this is an important use case. If you have this, I think the answer is twofold, or has two parts. The first part is the person is not crypto literate, um, and the second part is, even without the person really getting hands-on, we can just sell the dream, do the pitch, sell the dream. So yeah, so this part here is not so much my approach usually. That's why I have Cardano for non-techs, which does this without selling the thing and over heightening everything. But I think in the end we can go from here to here, from here to here, or go around this whole thing of whoever doesn't want to play ball or doesn't care. And even this is something that my Portuguese tattoo friend, that she's the designer that I want to bring on board, she's already telling me some people are just mean, bad, and ugly or something, and they don't care about tattoos. Those are the bikers, some of those, but then we're looking for the 2.5% if you want to talk about the adoption curves and all. So, okay. Yeah.
Another thought that just came to mind is I think it would be beneficial for you to understand why tattoo artists are tattoo artists in the first place. So speaking to their interests, right? What attracted them to enter the space in the first place? Because if it was the create new cool shit, this is essentially it, right? You're the new cool shit that is misunderstood, right? If it's still something that they want to do, right? I think there's some common shared interests there, or you can cater to that interest. But whatever it may be, because right now it might be just, I just gotta pay the bills, right?
Yeah,
tattoo shops
there's
were
always that
also
guy that
hit
just
through
opens the
COVID.
door and serves whoever comes, and that's a bit our posture so far, in terms of, I've literally said it to some friends discussing this, where I'm creating the technology. It's basically, you have a JPEG or a PNG, you preserve it as an NFT, and that's the platform. And the audience makes the use out of it with their motivations and with all their part. But sorry, I feel like I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. It is. I think it's a stimulating conversation. But yeah, I think, long story short, just understanding why people entered the space in the first place. I think I would have a hypothesis. It's much easier to understand why people want to get into tattoo, even though that even there are many people that just, there are deeper meanings behind them. often, because there are instances where actually, and this is true, right? Sometimes you just pick from, it's like, oh, let me get fungible token number 7 here, right? Or in that case, a non-fungible token on, because I think it's cool, right? I don't care about that, the meaning or whatever, what you think it is. I just like how it looks, right? There's plenty of cases of that, right? But I think overall it's much better understood why people get tattoos, but maybe not too much why people become artists themselves.
Yeah.
And I think understanding that is important, because that's how you can really attract people potentially, by coming up with or connecting rather well, why should I care, right? I think that is very, very important, because I think while creating enough demand on the buyer side, like people coming is like, hey, I want to, have this as an NFT. And the every tattoo artist in the world says like, yeah, but I don't care. You can't have that. They're still either going to get their tattoo or they don't, right? Either they're a good customer or they don't, not a good customer. And but I don't think that there will be enough pain that tattoo artists now, have to buy in. So and again, like it would be a huge demand. Like even, I mean, for my tattoos, yeah, it would be cool, right? To have an NFT. And
I think that's why I came back to is the person crypto literate? Because we're not going to have anyone interested if they're not crypto literate, right?
I would push back. I would push back on that. And the reason for that is that so over the past 2 days, right, as you know, Mediators AI is a solution that for the greater vision is dependent on blockchain, because we want that transparency. If you care about something, you measure it so you can improve it. And open data, transparent data is important. There is, in my opinion, nothing better than an open permissionless or semi-permissionless even, but an open blockchain. I talked to a lot of companies over the past 2 days, not only on the blockchain expo, but the digital transformation week and at TechX in Santa Clara. And only at the end, there was like, why blockchain? It was like, like I didn't, tell them about Cardano for a while, because I was really like addressing the problem, right? And then like the blockchain is just a tool. And I think that the danger, just for the name Cardano builders, right, is like it's very focused on the tech, right, which is obvious, right? But at the same time, we're also here to solve real problems, and the tech is a tool, and it doesn't actually matter whether they're already crypto literate or not, because you can paint them the picture. And then they ask, it's like, well, how do you do that? And I was like, well, we have this thing called Cardano or NFTs or whatever it is. I think there's a danger in approaching the conversation from the wrong angle, from the enthusiastic technologist side, because we know all of the other things that we can do with the tech.
With your product, it's a service that's already been existing for ages, and obviously you do understand that you want to persist it on the blockchain, and that's why it's more interesting. But from the user's point of view, they can say you can start it however you prefer. I don't really care. And then you also are telling them probably, I want you to pay in ADA and to lock your ADA, and the person says, yeah, if that helps lock it, so the better, it's fine. But you already have an existing core service. For me, the core service already exists as well. It's the tattoo, but I am not putting the NFT as an obstacle. Or if someone wants to do mediation with you, they're gonna need to do it the ADA way. If someone wants to do a tattoo, they're gonna do a tattoo whether or not they do the NFT. That's why I agree with you that it's not maybe a good strategy for me to say, I'm going to need to make you be literate for you to want my tattoo. But if you see it from the other point of view, from the reverse point of view, I would say it's still a bit valid what I said, because they're not going to want, they don't have any incentive to want an NFT if they don't know what an NFT is, what the blockchain is. So in that sense, we need to sell the dream a lot more than you do, because you can still just sell your mediation and people will sign up and do it the crypto way. But I cannot still sell my NFT if I don't sell the dream a bit, or that's why I think even I was just in a call comparing things that are being done in it, that for a long time in Ethereum, and they're trying to do a parallel. And for this project, it already exists as well as called Eternal in Ethereum. And I noticed their website has a lot to do with how the flesh will go away and the tattoo will be in the on the. I think that's a bit too dramatic, no?
No, well, no, because when people have the impression it's like, oh, tattoo lasts forever, right? And no, that's not the case because
Yeah,
not at all.
I'm a very pragmatic person. Initially, I thought, well, in 20 years, you may want to do a refresh. And that's the practical sense of it. So if you want to do a refresh, if you want your kid 20, like you do a tattoo when you're 20, and after 30 years, you want your kid to do the same, which already is blurry on yourself or something, you still have the exact image. And people can say, I could store that on the cloud. So skeptical people are always going to be there. We do need a marketing strategy, but for initially, I would think this is something that we'll need to create our own cult, to find our culture that's sort of organically that we're able to propagate organically between the people that understand things a bit.
Yeah, not wanting to go too sideways here, but with the transfer, I think an interesting concept is something that probably already exists in games, but the notion of a NFT morphing or like changing when you transfer it, right? Because that is what you have a moderately complex tattoo, like and you want to pass that down essentially, right? So in practical terms, what you need to do is like, okay, you might even have some like a stencil, something like that, right? Or like the draft that you then put on the person's skin, right? But ultimately it will always look different on another person, even the same person years after.
It's like paintings. You can't, just because I have a picture of a Mona Lisa, I'm not going to paint
right.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to point it out because I think that is very interesting. And I actually talked to Victor a while back with one of his gaming projects that he had been involved in, and kind of, I guess, the same idea there as well. But transferability is still interesting, right? As Dave mentioned in the last call as well. What about that aspect?
Okay. But you're talking about the transferability of the NFT between wallets?
Right.
Okay. Because I thought you were also alluding to the transferability of a person has this tattoo done and someone's
right. That's where it started, right? And then, but then you would map that onto the transferability of the NFT, right? Does that change? In a sense, so I was working for a significant amount of time in my engineering career at a startup that recently got acquired and for cross media recommendations. Actually, the cross media was something that I introduced, But essentially, what you would then have, even without dedicated profiles, right? You always know like someone's base taste in the things that they were interested in, right? And the hundreds of pieces of content that everyone consumes, and that's on the low end, right? So, and based on that, you have like specific traits that are more dominant compared to the mean user. So so anything that gets acquired or purchased or transferred into that profile, essentially, like mapping that now to the crypto world, I would say, and forgive me my colorism here, but essentially would be painted in a different color, would be dyed in a different color, or mood, or like variation. And I think you understand that would be also something that would be super interesting. And again, it has nothing to do with, I mean, it has.
Okay, so could you say that again, very like in a sentence, like you were saying that if the NFT gets transferred, it changes color or something?
Okay, like yes, because if I say, hey, I want a tattoo of a cat, right?
Yeah.
Same prompt essentially, or I have a tattoo of a cat, or whatever it is, and mixing some concepts. But for example, I get it to me, and then my cat will look maybe like a ninja with a cat mask or something like that, right? But like anime style, for example, I transfer that NFT of the cat to somebody else who might have more of a darker, more twisted profile, I guess, based on the already available content. So it's a little bit of an echo chamber, but you can introduce new concepts, and everything changes a little bit on that. Everything that comes new in, so that NFT of a cat will be generated, will be morphed essentially to be a little bit more darker, like. And so in a sense, you create variations of the same original source based on somebody else's profile. The interesting part here is that the reason why it might be even worth listening on a commercial standpoint, now you incentivize to be a collector of things, because it is not just one piece. Like you're not an art collector by having one piece of art. You're an art collector because you have whole sets, whole collections of various arts. That's how you become an art collector. You have like a certain style. Maybe you have like a couple of different things, whatever it is, but ultimately you are not just a collector in a sense, but what's the word I'm looking for? You're essentially very, very selective in the type of art that you collect. And even though you haven't produced any of the art yourself, the way you collect art and acquire arts, that says something about yourself and about the art that you collect, because it is a specific style. It has like, there's certain characteristic to it. And that ties back to tattoos, at least tattoos in the Western understanding, which is very individualistic, right? Because tattoos can also be very, very collectivist, right? As we know. So I think this is interesting because it wants you to get more. Because there's a saying, like, how many people do you know with just one tattoo, right?
Yeah.
If you really get into it, and you just don't go into a shop and say, oh, I want that one, but you really think about it, right? You start with something small, like my right arm, for example, right? From the wrist to my shoulder. And then maybe next one you get a leg. Then you get a back, and maybe then you get another one on the foot or something like that, right? And they're all distinct pieces, but they somehow are still connected, and then makes you more you. And I think that also alludes to what I was saying earlier, that tattoo is always a co-creation of a tattoo artist and the end customer, the wearer of the tattoo. And if you add now a component of transferability and take that new person or that new owner of that NFT into account, you change it just a little bit, it becomes more them. It's like buying clothes, and you don't fit into the clothes, but the clothes will adjust to your physique, right? If you buy an item or you pick up an item in a dungeon in a role-playing game on a computer or something like that, right? You have like different avatars in your party, and no matter who picks up, I don't know, a cloak or something, it'll fit everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the idea that I just had in mind through our conversation that emerged, and I'm not sure if that's helpful or not.
Yeah,
It
of
is
course.
certainly not
So,
focused, but
so what I'm writing down around here is so we started with this of what should I care, and then I added what are the motivations for the artists. We should facilitate the person to become literate, and we can sell the dream, or we may support the person himself. And then I was just writing this one down. People are collectors. These, I'm not sure if they fit in there, which has to do with the transferability of the NFT, and should we taint or change it in the process? And this part as well. So this has to do with transferability of the drawing from skin to skin and of the NFT from wallet to wallet and what we can automate. But this would require the transfer to happen on our platform, not just a basic, what do they call it, payment transaction or something. Is it still called a payment transaction if it's a native asset? Maybe, I don't know.
Good question.
Yeah,
I mean,
because we have the payment address. Yeah, that's coming from the dev side. Anyway, so here I have the tattoos are a result of the person and the tattoo artist, and this is just quadrants that we may need to develop. So user profiles aligning with use cases and resulting in product features. So maybe I can sort of flip this upside down and toggle these together or connect them. I didn't realize the relationship before when I was drawing it, but maybe this could be a possible maturing. What do you think?
yeah, good items for parking lots. Yeah, use cases are fun.
Mm-hmm. But in overall, this is good to get lost in, and everyone's going to get lost in this, especially when you're pitching it, when people are maturing the idea of what they can do with it, and etc. But I keep thinking back to, I'm not going to open it now, but there's a Game Changer, for example. Just drop a picture in there, mint it as an NFT, done. So it's basically the concept of this project is to build that and theme the website around tattoos, not just do it on Game Changer. So that MVP, we don't literally need to get into this. That's why I keep pointing out with, if we find this people and culture that can self-propagate and that are on board, then we can leave the rest to be subjective a bit, and we can leave this type of thing to be development on further cycles. Again, on this level, it's good to, these are going to continue to surface, but let's maybe as well consider the technological side, the legal side. I don't know where legal fits in, maybe here. What do you think?
It's its own thing.
It is, isn't it? That's
They're
why
touching
these
everything.
guys didn't, that we saw in the last session that legal is not just accept all.
Right. The British, they have
Yeah,
also legal and
yeah, that's why they call
environmental.
it pestle.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe
We
learning
can
from
add that.
here. Yeah, let's add a legal quadrant because it's a pain that we need to go through, right? Maybe not in the first days, but
Did you want to add some stickers for legal now? In an approximate area.
yeah, that's, I was coming from the line of thought of this is a bit too chunky to in a rabbit hole to get into. This part is hopefully fairly simple to build on the minting part, and there's just a challenge of the metadata. I'm going to add it here. Need a metadata standard. And image format and capture. Or guidelines is going to be the best word because we're going to have a bit of everything. So yeah, I don't have a specific thing to drop on the legal one, but I was thinking that we need to start thinking of it. And here we've also spoken about the IP rights and all that. So I don't want to be duplicating everything, right? And because in the end, this is an exercise that cannot develop into a business plan, into a full business plan, right? It's really more like a high level. What do you think? You never did this process as well for serious project in depth?
Well, as we discovered before, or even the SWOT, right? We have never done the exploded version, and but of course, SWOT itself is important.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So authoring rights for the art, we said get members from the community to advise on authoring rights. I'm just really gonna copy this, post it, and drop it there because it's showing up on both sides. In terms of this initiative that we started in Cardano Builders, I'm thinking of starting to try to put together lessons learned or something. So I'm going to duplicate this one into here, and sometimes my English fails me big time. I don't know
that's
if I
all the time for
processes.
me. But I'm gonna try and participate in next Tuesday's German speaking Twitter space. So that'll
Oh
be
yeah,
fun.
I'm sharing that with German friends and cousin that lives there. This is not properly written, is it? Processes. Anyway.
Looks good enough.
Okay, so I'm just so you have any idea what's going to happen in that space? Is it going to be more technical, more?
I have no idea. No idea. We'll see. And 2-minute warning.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna tidy up later. Like you know, I've been going around several projects. I need to focus on this one, especially because I want to start reaching out and having these discussions with more people. And I'm trying to put that in a timeline where we're still gonna be reaching out for a few weeks and then have a first session because I don't want to be doing the pitch to everyone. So my first priority for this weekend is really to get that list done and spam those invitations. I can't even read it because your background is a bit bright. I don't see the time.
1 minute, 15 seconds.
Okay, that's my closing thought. You know, it's great. It's a great exercise. It continues to be. it helped me branch out to the product and use cases part. And I'm gonna go with the invitations.
Right, that sounds good.
Okay.
Well,
thank you so much.
you.
Have a
Yeah,
great
thank
weekend.
you. It was you as well. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.